Okay guys, so today we're going to be doing a reptile room tour for December 2017, which means that it's going to be the last reptile room tour this year, which is amazing. But we'll be going through what has actually changed with my reptiles and their setups, and what might be happening in the next month. So let's get straight into the video. So as per usual with the reptile room tours, we are going to be starting off with Speckles. Speckles is my leopard gecko. He's a max snow male and he's now weighing in at 105 grams. It is turning to winter, but he's not losing weight or stopping eating or anything. In fact, he does actually seem more hungry. His setup is doing just as well as he is. It's live planted and bioactive, as you can probably tell, and all the plants are growing. If I just take you to look over this side, you can see that the little sort of pale whitey blue plant, that has actually started growing. The mother-in-law's tongue there, that is growing well. And the gasteria is growing quite well. Now, if I just lift you over here, you can see that there are some mealworms right here. And this is because this is actually Speckles' defecatorium, which is basically where they choose to poo. And there's actually a bit of waste there, and you can see that the mealworms are eating it. So definitely when you're doing a bioactive setup for leopard geckos, or even bearded dragons, or any other arid environment reptile, definitely take a look at using mealworms. If we take a look up here, you can see the lighting and heating that I've got rigged up for him. He's got a UVB bulb in the one at the front, but what I really want to talk about is at the back. He has a ceramic heat emitter on a pulse proportional thermostat in this big dome right here. But by the end of the month, I'm actually going to be changing that for an Arcadia deep heat projector, which I'll just pop a picture up of. And that is going to be his new source of heat. I'm going to run it on a digital dimmerstat so that I can also program it so that he can have nighttime temperature drops, and after I've done that, I'll report back and see if there's any changes in his behaviour. But let's take a look at Speckles anyway. So Speckles' little den is right back here. He's sort of burrowed in down there. So I will try and lift him out, but to be honest, he doesn't really like being hauled out. He's fine once he is out because obviously he's a leopard gecko and leopard geckos are fine with handling. But I'll just try and get him out now. So as you can see, there he sort of is coming out. He is quite a big leopard gecko now at 105 grams. Far bigger than my past leopard gecko Cleo. But that is about it for him. So let us move on to the next reptile. So next up in the reptile room tour, as per usual again, we have Splat the crested gecko, who I will show you in a minute. Now, there is one quick point I'd like to make, and that is about this line running down the middle. That is where the doors of his enclosure meet, but I can't actually open them right now because of where he is. You'll see when I show you him in a minute. But quite a lot has actually happened with him this month. So I've taken you off the tripod so I can show you better. Basically, the plants are doing absolutely fantastically, apart from the Boston fern down here, which has sort of died back. But if we take a look at this pothos, which I've grew as a cutting, and I'm now training it up with bits of string to grow up this, it's now sending off a new leaf anyway, so before long we should hopefully have it running all the way up here. But the main exciting change with the plants is that Splat's heat bulb that I was using actually blew. So for a while, up here where I used to have his heat bulb there, I popped a 2% UVB bulb that I just had sitting around. It's not really going to project any UVB through this mesh, so it's pretty much useless in that respect. I've got a 12% UVB to do that for him. But this, it just provides a nice white light, and since I've had it, the Nerogelia or Nerogelia bromeliads have been growing like crazy. So as you can see, this one here has really started blushing, and this one is right underneath that UVB bulb. So it is showing me that it has got a good colour for plant growth. This little tiny pup here, you can see it has started to blush a little bit. But the main exciting thing with these is actually that since I've put this light on, they have grew 3 new pups. There is this pup right here, And if you take a look over there, you can see that there are actually 2 pups. I can't really point them out because of the way I'm holding the camera, but hopefully you can see that there are 2 pups coming from that Neregelia at the back. Now, of course, I'm sure that you're all probably more interested in the crested gecko than the plants. And honestly, Splat has been doing just fine really, nothing spectacular. The temperatures have been dropping drastically recently where I live, so I think he has noticed this because at night his temperatures do go down to room temperature, which has actually dropped by a couple of degrees. So he is noticing the temperature change and he isn't eating as much as he did in the summer, but Splat is actually hiding out right at the front here. So if I just open these doors, we can take a good look at him for once. If I just lift up this leaf here, there's his little face. I'll just drop that down because he is actually asleep and that is kind of mean waking him up. But that is Splat, he is 42 grams and that means that since the end of last December, he has actually gained 40 grams in my care, which just goes to show how well bioactive setups, UVB lighting, and honestly the Arcadia Reptile Earth Pro range work for keeping your reptiles. So as we close up Splat's enclosure, that pretty much finishes up all the information I can give about him. So let's move on to the last reptile. So just as a quick note for any crested gecko owners, I am doing a little experiment regarding what they want to eat and what is their favourite food, but I need more people to take part in it really to get enough data for the experiment to work. So I'll drop a little card up here, and after you finish watching this video, if you do own a crested gecko or you're just interested in it, please do check out that video and it'll tell you about how you can enter. And of course, last but certainly not least in the reptile room tour is Red the corn snake. Now, unfortunately, I'm not really going to be able to show you much at all with him this month because he's just came out of blue, which means he will be shedding his skin in the next day or 2. So I don't really want to bother him because he doesn't like really being touched or messed with when he's in the shed cycle. So I'll have to leave him be, but I will pop up a little picture of what he looks like now. So that is Red. He is a hypermelanistic corn snake, which means he's got reduced black patterning. I don't actually know whether he's a male or a female, but judging by his size, I do think he is a male. Now, his setup is the same as it was last month and the month before that, basically. But within the next month, I do plan on making his setup bioactive and live planted. So whilst there isn't really anything to say about him this month, next month there will be quite a lot. Now, Red, on the whole, is doing fantastic. He's eating a jumbo mouse once a fortnight, and with it being winter, he is absolutely hammering those back, because for some reason, as opposed to all my other reptiles that seem to drop off feeding through the winter, he actually gets hungrier, which I'm not sure why they do that. Maybe it's where they're from in the wild, just whatever happens. But that is basically Red, and with that, we pretty much wrap up this room tour. So I hope that you did enjoy it. I know that not much exciting's really happened this month, but hopefully by next month the Neregelias in Splat's enclosure should be really pink, and that pothos should have grown a bit up that branch, because when those plants start growing, they literally do not stop. You've got to keep a close eye on them or they will take over the vivarium. But anyway, I hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please leave a like and do consider subscribing for similar content in the near future. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.